Dear students, welcome back to my class. So now we are continuing the endoskeleton of Calotes, and now we are moving in detail of the vertebral column. So let's move. We know that what is meant by vertebral column. Vertebral column is one of the part of endoskeleton which is mainly concerned with the supporting of a spinal cord. Right, so it's an elongated structure which is generally consisting of numerous vertebrae, and the whole vertebral column is divisible into 4 different regions in Calotes. They are categorized into cervical vertebrae, thoracolumbar vertebrae, sacral vertebrae, and coccygeal or caudal vertebrae. So cervical, we know that the terminology is mainly is meant for the neck region. So the neck region is mainly consisting of 7 vertebrae, while the thoracolumbar, that is a trunk region, it is generally representing the dorsal region of Calotes, and it is generally consisting of around 22 vertebrae. And the third part is called the sacral region. The sacral region is a region which is containing the trunk region, and this region is generally supported by 2 vertebrae. And the last part is called the coccygeal. We know that what is meant by coccyx. Yes, coccyx is nothing but it is a tail region or it is a caudal region. So this coccygeal or caudal vertebrae is generally concerned with the supporting the tail region. And here the number is not a fixed one. The number of vertebrae is generally varying in this caudal region. So these are the 4 different regions of vertebral column of Calotes versicolum. So we are moving in detail of the vertebral column of this particular angle. The first one is the typical vertebrae. This is a structure of typical vertebrae. The typical vertebrae is a structure which is generally seen at the anterior thoracic region or the anterior part of the trunk region. In the previous class, we have already discussed about the skull region, right? The skull is nothing but it is a brain box. It is mainly concerned with supporting our head. So the rest of the body part is generally supported by this typical vertebrae. So the peculiarity of this vertebrae is that this is commonly known as procoelous. Procoelous is a condition in which here you can see in this picture itself the anterior part of this particular structure is concave, right, while the posterior part you can see that it is convex. So this condition, that is the anterior part which is concave in nature and the posterior part which is convex in nature is known as procoelous. So those vertebrae which is generally seen in this trunk region or the thoracic region is called procoelous. And when we are analyzing the detailed structure of this particular vertebrae, you can see that this centrum will be as a neural arch. Here you can see that this is a neural arch, a pair of neural arch that you can see or you can observe in the most anterior part as well as in the posterior part, and this neural arch will enclose a canal that is called a neural canal. So what may be the function of this neural canal? Yes, we know that this vertebral column is mainly concerned with this covering is mainly concerned with the passage of the spinal cord. So this neural canal is mainly concerned with the passage of the spinal cord itself. Okay, so structurally we can say that this is procoelous in condition in which the anterior part is concave and the posterior part is convex, and it be as a pair of processes which is called a neural arch which is enclosing the neural canal for the passage of spinal cord. And this neural arch, when we are concentrating this neural arch, you can see that there are certain processes are arising. The first one is called the neural spine. So at the anterior portion, not in the posterior part but in the anterior portion, we can see a small prominent that is called a neural spine, and along with this neural spine you can see a pair of transverse processes, and these transverse processes are respectively known as pre-zygapophysis and post-zygapophysis. They are named pre as well as post in relation with their position. Pre-zygapophysis means they are positioned on the anterior part, while post-zygapophysis means here they are concentrated or they are mainly situated at the posterior region. Okay, so these are the structures which is associated with the typical vertebrae, and along with all these structures, in addition to this, there is another part that is called the articular or capitular facet. What is the function of this particular region is that this region is mainly concerned with the articulating into the rib region. We know that this thorax or this part is generally concentrated, generally supporting on the trunk region. Trunk, we know that the trunk is a part of chest. Okay, so it will this vertebrae will be connected to the chest region or the rib region by means of this particular structure that is called the articular facet or capitular facet. So that's all about the structural detail of the typical vertebrae of Chilotes versicolor. The next one is called cervical vertebrae. So cervical means, yes, next, neck. So this vertebrae is mainly concerned with the supporting the neck region, and if you're analyzing its structure is very similar to the trunk vertebrae. That means that we have discussed it just now, that is in the typical vertebrae case. Here in the cervical vertebrae, start with first and second vertebrae, and this two vertebrae are respectively known as atlas vertebrae and axis vertebrae. The first vertebrae is called the atlas vertebrae, and the second one is called the axis vertebrae. The remaining, that is the third vertebrae and the rest of the vertebrae, are paired in nature and they are similar in organization. Only the first and second, that is atlas and axis, is only different in their structural detail. Okay. So let's move to the detail of the first vertebrae, that is called the atlas vertebrae. We can see that in this picture itself, this is the atlas vertebrae and it is having a ring-like structure which is provided with a definite sternum. And if you are analyzing its structure, we can see that its anterior end or anterior side, it will be articulating with the occipital condyle of the skull. We have discussed in the structural morphology of skull, we have seen what does mean by occipital condyle. So in this particular part of the skull, that is occipital condyle, this atlas will be communicating in the anterior side, and generally it consisting of three parts or three pieces, and they are named as dorsal region, which is generally positioned here, and a lateral region which is together known as dorsolateral piece, and a ventral piece. So there is a paired dorsal lateral piece, that is here you can see that in the right side as well as in the left side you can see a dorsal lateral piece along with a ventral piece. So these three pieces together forms the atlas vertebrae. And in addition to this, you can see that there is a ligament-like structure. You can see in between the dorsal as well as the ventral part. This is called the ligament transverse ligamentum or ligamentum transversum. What is the peculiarity of this particular structure is that this part will divides this particular atlas into two different regions. What are they? Anteriorly, it forms this ligament divides the atlas into a spinal canal, and posteriorly by means of an odontoid canal. The spinal canal, as the name indicated, is mainly concerned with the passage of spinal cord. I told you that this vertebral column is mainly concerned with passing what? Spinal cord. So through this spinal canal, the spinal cord will be continued posteriorly from the brain itself. Okay, and posteriorly it forms the odontoid canal or odontoid process. Okay, so this is the structural detail of atlas. Atlas is nothing but it's a first vertebrae. It is generally consisting of a paired ventrodorsal area and a dorsolateral area and a ventral side. It has a ligament-like structure called a transverse ligamentum for dividing this whole structure into an anterior spinal canal and a posterior odontoid canal. The spinal canal is only concerned with the passage of spinal cord. Okay. Then moves this axis. Axis is representing the second vertebrae. The structure is very similar to atlas, but here, in addition to the structural detail of atlas, it has some two more additional regions. The first one is called the odontoid region. Here, this is a odontoid region, and on the ventral side, you can see another structure that is called it is a body nodule, which is known as hypophysis. So only these two structures generally unique to this axis. All the other regions are very much similar to that of axis itself. Then comes the thoracolumbar and sacral vertebrae. I told you that this particular region is mainly concerned with supporting the thoracic region as well as the sacral region. And the structural detail, if we are concentrating in the thoracic vertebrae, its structure is very similar to typical vertebrae. Okay, but here the thoracic vertebrae will be, as it is in the chest region, it will be attached with the ribs itself. And if you are concentrating on if you are analyzing the sacral vertebrae, it will be it's very short in structure, and it has a very short centrum, and but it is provided with a elongated transverse process. So if you are comparing this particular sacral vertebrae into atlas and axis, it is having a reduced centrum as well as a very elongated transverse process. And this what is the peculiarity of this process is that this transverse process will be meeting into the ilia. Ilia is one of the region which is found in the pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle is a structure which is concerned with supporting the hind leg. So this transverse process will be communicating into the pelvic girdle of the calotus versicolum. So that's all about the thoracolumbar and sacral vertebrae. Then comes the caudal vertebrae. We know that what is meant by caudal. Caudal is nothing but it's the terminology which is always associated with the tail region, and this is a structure of the caudal vertebrae, the anterior caudal vertebrae, which is very similar to that of the sacral vertebrae that we have just discussed, but it is having a longer sternum as well as a neurospine. Here the neurospine is somewhat very long, and along with the transverse process will be very much elongated as well as it is very slender. So this is the only difference between this caudal vertebrae and the sacral vertebrae, and in most of the other details it is very similar to sacral vertebrae. And this is a condition in the anterior part. Well, if you are considering the posterior part, we can see that the posteriorly this caudal vertebrae becomes very much reduced into a smaller, a very here prominent structure that is called a centrum. Here the centrum is very much reduced, and along with that, attached to this centrum, you can see that there is a Y-shaped bone is present, and this Y-shaped bone is called Chevron bone. So this is a peculiarity which is found in the caudal vertebrae of calotus versicolum. Then comes the ribs and sternum. We know that what is meant by ribs. Those structures which is generally found, or those skeletal structures which is generally associated in the chest region is called the ribs, and the supporting part is called the sternum. So the ribs are very curved and slender bones. It is single-headed with only one tuberculum, and it is having a capillar facet. Capillar facet we have already discussed in the atlas, the structural detail of atlas. It is concerned with the communicating into the atlas vertebrae of vertebral column, and all pre-caudal vertebrae with the exception of the first three bears will bear in the ribs, and the cervical ribs are very short, and they are not connected with the sternum itself. If you are considering the cervical ribs, they are very much short because there is no ribs are found at the cervical region or the neck region. So this ribs are very much short and reduced, but it is connected only with the sternum itself. And the thoracic ribs are very large because we know that the thorax is the main chest region, so the expansion of the ribs will be very much it's highly developed there, and it will be articulated with the sternum. And if you are considering the sternum, the sternum or the chest bone is generally having two portions: a vertebral rib, which is also called a bony rib, which is generally concentrating on the dorsal part of our body, and sternal rib, it is the cartilaginous rib, which will be representing the ventral part. So the ventral rib or the vertebral rib, that is the bony rib, will be always articulated with the capillar facet of the corresponding vertebrae, while the sternal rib of the first three thoracic vertebrae will be articulated with the sternum, and the remaining will be not reaching into the sternum itself. Then this is the structure of sternum. It's a rhomboid cartilage. You know that what is meant by rhomboid. This is the rhomboid shape, or it's a wedge-shaped structure. Its sternal ribs are attached to it. Here you can see, and it is fixed to its fixed to the sternum. You can see a T-shaped bone. This is called the interclavicle, and it is provided with the two arms that is called the clavicle. And this interclavicle as well as the clavicle will be communicating with the pectoral girdle of Pilotus. Pectoral girdle is nothing but it is the structure which is mainly concerned with the supporting the forelimb. So this clavicle and interclavicle will be connected to this particular structure, that is pectoral girdle. So that's all about the vertebral column of Pilotus versicolor. If you have any doubt, please do in the comment section. Thank you.